Hey, friends, what's up? Thanks for coming to hang out uh, on another episode of Hundreded, where Clay, am trying to figure out the true meaning of the 100-day challenge. And today it's a late night version of Hundreded, um, at least from where I'm at. I'm going to go all the way around the globe again and talk with Teresa del Pilar. We're calling her up right now, seeing if she'll pick up here. But it's the weekend, so that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Let me make sure that went through all right. Let's see. Hey, Teresa, you there? I can't hear you. Hey.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got it that time.
Nice.
How's it going?
Good, thank you. Just woke up. I'm a bit like still, but I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Geez, you just woke up and I'm hitting you with just like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm doing what I can. I have like my smoothie because it's too early for coffee for me.
It's too early even for coffee. Dang.
Not for me, but for my stomach. Like coffee on an
Oh.
empty stomach is like Conan the Barbarian level for me.
See, I just live off of coffee. Usually,
Yeah,
that's all I drink. What's water, really? I mean,
I know. I've been to America and they were always like, more coffee? And I was like, do you want to kill me? But the coffee there is milder, is like watered down. So it's okay. It's okay.
oh, so you're talking bad about our coffee now? I see how it
No,
is.
no, no. It's nice. It's nice. But I'm just saying, like, the quantity of water in the coffee is higher. Here we have
So,
like Italian style, like espressos.
you pretty much drink mud? Is that what it is there? It's like coffee sludge?
I drink my coffee with whiskey. So that's the problem here. So yeah, it's like espresso shots type
Oh,
thing.
nice.
So yeah, yeah,
But
smoothie.
Teresa, man, thanks for waking up so early and talking with me. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for forcing me to wake up early because it's Saturday. So
Are you usually a morning person though? I mean,
um not on Saturdays, but yeah, normally I am.
nice. Well, just a quick introduction. This is Teresa del Pilar, and she's the author and artist of Graduation Nightmare, as well as a champ when it comes to the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. How many times have you done it?
You.
3 times?
Well, yes, but the first two I didn't do it successfully fully. Like I missed a few days like we call it a flawed run, but it was a complete run, so that was good.
Oh yeah, um, and especially if it's only a couple of days, that's no big deal. That's no big
Yeah,
deal.
sure.
Where where did Graduation Nightmare fit in with your challenges? Did you start it somewhere within the challenge, or?
Yeah, actually I did. It was on my second run. My first run, I didn't even have a comic to draw. I just wanted to draw comics, but I didn't have one. So I even changed the name slightly and I called it Sketchbook Comics, like 100 days of making sketchbook comics, because I was just making comics inside my sketchbook, but I didn't have a story. And so I did a 10-page anime style comic on that run, and I think that was all I did, like, and then some strips and stuff. So my second run, I started one called Fish and Quips, and then I started another one which is Graduation Nightmares, and I was doing both at the same time to feel which one I like best. And yeah, Graduation Nightmares stuck
That's cool.
because yeah.
That's way cool. And one of the other reasons I really, really wanted to talk to you is because I never really ask anybody like, "Oh, how did you start drawing?" or anything like that, because I feel like every it's a misconception of mine, but I feel like everybody starts out art the same way I have, right? Where
Oh,
I just drew as a little kid, you know. I grew up drawing and doing all that stuff. Um, but you've talked before about how you hadn't started drawing until uh, into adulthood. It sounded like. Um,
almost, yeah. I started drawing. I mean, we all draw when we're kids. You're being noisy, you're bothering people. They give you a piece of paper and they tell you to shut up and draw something. So yeah, that happened to me as well. It's normal. And in school they say, and now it's time to draw, and you're like, do. But I think the experience of a lot of artists is that when they're young, at one point they realize that they're better than the others, and that kind of gives them the motivation to continue. Whereas for me, I was worse than everybody else. So for me, it reached that point around 5 or 6 where you realize I'm really bad at this. I should stop. I'm embarrassing myself. And so I stopped. But then, there's something about drawing that it's not just about being good. It's just sometimes you just enjoy it. You love it. And I kept stopping myself from drawing until I was about 17, when you are old enough to say, like, well, I don't care what anybody thinks. I'm going to draw. And so I went downstairs um, well, sort of like a Michael's that is here. And I just got a pack of crayons and I started drawing because I didn't even
nice.
have art supplies. So yeah, that was it. I was 17, I think I was.
And you said you kind of were into like newspaper comics growing up a little bit.
Yeah.
But where did your passion for comic books come in to play?
Even later in life, I think I was 19 or 20, and I was at a book fair looking for books because I like books. And amongst the books, there was one comic, and I picked it up, and I was like, "Wow, is this a comic? I didn't know they came in like book format. I thought it was something that was printed in newspapers, or maybe like Dragon Ball, where you get like an issue of it." And then you have to buy the next issue. But I really like the format of this is a self-contained story rather than something that goes on for years and years. And that changed my perception of comics and made them more something I'm interested in because I like that format. Like one story in one volume, you read it, it's done with. So
I
yeah, that
prefer
was
that
it.
a lot too. I prefer that. But you had like a a passion for literature before that, right?
Yes. Yeah, I like books.
Um, which I think is a really interesting thing to talk about, like the relation between, you know, the the more novel side of things and then comic books. Um, was it just kind of exciting for you to pick up that first comic and realize like, oh, this is pretty cool? Um,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like when I realized, because I love drawings, I love ever since I was a child, I would, illustrated books when you look at them and you're like, this is amazing, and you just stare at it. Like I love looking at this. So the whole visual aspect of comics, I always loved it. Not that I read them much, but I did look at Tintin and Asterix and Obelix, and I loved it. I love the drawings, especially in Asterix and Obelix. I love how they draw food. I would just look at it and think, I want to eat this, and I know it's not real. And this is fantastic. I love it.
yeah,
And then I realized when I was an adult that there was a story there, that there was more to it than just the drawings, and that was amazing. I didn't realize before. I don't know why, but I just thought. I think it's just the general um, way people talk about comics, and especially my dad. I think if your parents are not into comics, and if your parents tell you like comics are stupid, that's what you think about them, and that's what I thought about them until I realized through reading one that it's not true.
mm. And that's an interesting topic as well. Um, Obviously, your family and friends have known you before you became an artist, right? Or you
Yeah.
took it more seriously. How do they feel about like you stepping out and getting into comic books more? Do you
I,
share that with them, or
well, it's become part of my identity now. I think everyone recognizes, and it's funny because as of late, people will ask me like, "Oh, how you doing? What are you working on? Do you have any jobs, illustration jobs going?" And they know that that's a new question to ask me, and I think everyone now realizes that. But before it was just like, "Oh, you draw," and now it's just part of who I am for them as well. So yeah, it's they're just very accepting. They haven't been the type of people that say like, oh, you are drawing here, have art supplies and do it more. But they are the type of people that will adapt to whatever I'm choosing to do.
that's cool. That's cool. And you're a teacher as well. I don't really know. Like, do you teach kids? Do you teach adults?
At
What
the
do you teach
moment,
exactly?
I teach language as a foreign well, English as a foreign language, and I used to teach in England for 5 years Spanish as a foreign language, so I'm a foreign
Oh,
language teacher. And I also used to teach French. I don't know why, because I'm not very good at French. But there you go. I was like, bonjour. Uh, you know,
that's hilarious.
I, I don't know how that happened, but it did. And at the moment, I'm a freelance teacher, so I have clients which are adults, and they hire me to teach at their company or to go teach a group in their house or whatever, and I prepare them for official examinations.
That's
So like to
awesome.
get levels of English to get that certificate, like I speak English at this level. So it's like super specific, but I used to teach secondary school.
Oh, I'd hate to take a test and find out what level of English I speak because it's probably really bad. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
But
it's not very fun to take the test, but the lessons are quite fun.
that's cool. Um, but let's get to graduation nightmare.
Okay.
Um, because it has a little bit to do with school. Um, do you remember kind of like the inspiration behind Graduation Nightmare? Like when you started it?
Why I can't no. I
No.
honestly I don't remember. I think it just started with me wanting to do either black and white comics or color comics and being unable to decide. So I came up with this idea of this girl having a nightmare, and the nightmare is in black and white because I think there are a lot of people that dream in black and white. They don't dream in color. And yeah, and then I remember when I was finishing university, and I have night terrors. It runs in the family, so I have these very vivid
Oh,
nightmares, and I wake up screaming and throwing objects, and my boyfriend's like, "What the hell?" So yeah, that's my experience. So I think it came from that personal experience plus wanting to do a mix of color and black and white.
that's something we have in common. I grew up with night terrors. And I've been lucky. Like I don't have panic attacks really, maybe once or twice a year. So I know, like right away, like I could identify with uh, the nightmares in your comic book. Um, and that's one of the reasons I liked it so much is just because uh, you're taking these two worlds, right? Um, like this dream world and the actual world, and they're going to collide. Well, they are colliding, right?
Yes, yes.
But your take on nightmares, like in the real world, is something I've never thought about doing. Is actually thinking about like, oh, I'm having nightmares because I have problems in my life. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I should figure that sort of stuff out. For me, it's always just like, oh, that's another nightmare. Let's try to forget about that. You know?
Yeah, I mean, Helena is basically me. Is like if you think about it, Helena is Teresa, but with different letters. So it's like EEA, and then I changed the consonants, and that was my experience when I finished university. I used to have a lot of nightmares because I didn't know what to do with my life, and I was like, I was going to, it was summer. I was going to music festivals. I was doing my summer work, and I should have been very happy. But then at night, I would have these horrible nightmares because hadn't decided what to do with my life yet, and I was like, what the hell? And I wasn't making the connection. So it's really autobiographical now that I think about it.
Oh, sweet. That's a good idea. I mean, I used to draw myself all the time. I haven't drawn myself like for years and years now. For some reason, I thought that was a really good way of like expressing myself. is drawing myself doing funny things. But um,
Yeah, it's not exactly myself. Like she's quite different from me looking and
yeah,
stuff. She has pink hair for starters. And but I think like when you don't plan your comics, you always end up writing about yourself, because if it comes to you naturally, it's because you have experienced it or you have some knowledge of it. And yeah.
that's interesting. Um, I'd like to get to a place where like, well, at least you're coming from a place of knowledge, right? Like
Yeah.
you know, I mean that may you're drawing so much from yourself to portray that character that you know like exactly how that character is going to react in the situation, and it really brings them to life. I feel like,
Oh, thank you.
but how's Graduation Nightmares going so far? Is that what you're working on right now?
Yes, I'm preparing the next chapter, which has taken me ages, but it's well, not next chapter, next scene. I go scene by scene and I publish each scene at a time. But this scene turns out to be 11 pages long and in color, so it's taken me a long time to finish it. So I'm at the moment flatting the comic, and these are pages I did in April, some of them, and I'm just going through this stage where I just hate my art because I'm coloring something that I did many months ago, and I just only look at the flaws like, oh my god, I did this wrong. I need to, I don't know. And it's a weird thing to do, coloring your own comic 3 or 4 months after the fact. So that's where I am at the moment. But I'm planning on finishing it hopefully next year, Christmas next year.
Oh, cool. So how much do you have left? Um,
About half. So yeah, it's
oh,
a it's a lofty goal, but I'm hoping I'm gonna achieve it.
oh, that'd be awesome. I'm struggling with like scheduling things this week, so I know how that is. Like that daunting goal that just like is kind of looming, right? I know how
Yeah.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling. Um, but as as far as your whole journey with Graduation Nightmares, um, I feel like I can see how much you've progressed just from the start of that comic book. Um,
Yeah,
and it's not. Well, how long ago did you actually start it? Because I don't really look at timestamps or anything like that.
I think it was 2 years ago, almost the day. I think I started August 2017. I remember because I was doing the 100 days, so I have updates that mark the moment where I started. It's like I was making fish and quips, and suddenly I started talking about, well, I started this other comic.
That's awesome to know. Like, oh, this is the date. But
Yeah,
I, when you look back at the first of the comic, I mean, uh, does it take you back to that place a little bit 2 years ago? Do you remember like specific pages actually doing them or like struggling with them or anything
yes, I
like that?
remember specific pages. But not all of them, but some of them that I, as you say, like the ones I really struggle with, or the ones I did on holidays in a very uncomfortable table by a window somewhere. Like I remember those.
That's
The ones
awesome.
I made happily in my house, I don't remember.
But that's why I'm excited to read more of it. I just like uh, I really have enjoyed like seeing that progression in your work. Because
Thank you.
I it's not that you started out like at a horrible spot. I think it started out great, but it's just I don't know. Like you just keep going up and up and up. You know.
Well,
Uh,
like looking at it closely, I can see that uh, the progression hasn't been like I've gone from drawing bad to drawing good. That's not what's happened, and especially in 2 years, I think that's too short a period of time to see that kind of progression. But I do see that my good drawings back in 2 years ago are now my usual drawings, and my bad drawings 2 years ago are not happening anymore. And then I'm getting like hints of my good drawings, and I it's like seeing into the future. This is how I'm going to draw in 2 years if I continue. So when I get a good drawing, it's like, oh, that is it. That's what I'm going to be doing in 2 years. So I think that's how it works, because especially with comics, you get some panels that are really good and some panels that are not good. So my not good panels are my average panels from 2 years ago, and my good panels from 2 years ago are my average panels of today. So yeah,
That's awesome. And
that's my analysis of it.
when it comes to coloring though, like you probably uh, have learned a lot as far as coloring goes.
Yes, that I have learned a lot because I started with zero knowledge. So when you start at point zero, the progression is much more visible.
Yeah.
So that's something I would encourage people to do. If you don't know anything about something, start a project, and you will see the progression very fast.
Or you could start a project like me and decide like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to color it because I would probably go insane. I think I would go
Yeah.
insane, which is commending for you to like take that huge chunk. I think really color is like, uh, I mean, there's writing the comic, drawing the comic, and then I feel like there's coloring the comic. Uh,
Mm. Yeah, I mean, like I knew that color was hard because I had tried coloring pages and I was really bad at it. If you go back to Fish and Quips when I start coloring it, like, oof, I remember, Jan Mao, Jan
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
from the hundreds. I remember being on a hangout of the 100s and him telling me how to color in Photoshop. He was guiding me through this is a what do you call it, the gradient. This is a gradient. You can use it for this. This is how you block in colors. He taught me how to color comics on a hangout. I
Nice.
didn't know anything. And that's when I decided maybe I can do some pages in color. So
Um,
yeah.
I like your black and white work really a lot too, though, because you're brave with all the blacks you put into your work. So I think that's pretty awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, you do all the cross hatching stuff, and I'm like, oof, that's a lot of work, man. When I
Yeah,
look at your comic,
it's not too bad. Um, Cross-hatching,
she does.
that's something I've always done. I feel like, or well, I've done for a
Yeah,
long, long time. It's just kind of mindless stuff, really.
yeah. But
Um,
for me, it's like a lot of the areas that you would cross hatch. I just put a black fill, and it's like done. Moving on. So a lot of my heavy black decisions are just. I wouldn't say laziness, but just yeah, laziness. Let's say laziness.
oh, I feel like to actually like complete a comic book, I should be cutting way more corners. Um, and I'm not, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. I'm not cutting as many corners as I feel like I should be, at least. But
Nah, you're doing great. You're doing great.
um, how? So I got introduced to your last 100 days of making comics challenge, which was awesome, by the way. Um,
Thank you.
how was that one compared to your other two? Do you feel like?
Well, for started, it was successful. I didn't miss any days, which is something new for me. And I did videos. In my previous runs, I was doing Tumblr posts. I'm not on Tumblr anymore, but initially I thought I don't know how to make videos. This is gonna be extra stress. But on my third run, I was like, I think I can do some videos. Like why not? And I learned how to edit videos right there and then. So that was different. I think the videos were very motivating as well. I think it's a good way. It's better than a post because I don't think anybody really reads blog posts anymore. So yeah, having that encouragement and feedback helped.
I've never even read blog posts, so yeah. Um,
We're
uh,
ahead of your time.
I yeah, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, uh, did you think it was easier um, than your previous attempts, or was it more difficult since you actually did stick to it?
Well, yes, it was easier. It was easier. I think mainly because I had more stability in my life, and the previous two runs, for some reason, in both runs, I moved houses to a different city. And when you're boxing and unboxing things, and you're moving, and you're hiring the gas company and calling the internet company and all these things, like, oh, I don't know. Like there is something about moving that really prevents you from doing anything else. And that's why I missed days on my previous two runs because I was moving houses. And so the fact that I didn't move houses in this run really helped.
Yeah, I guarantee nobody could blame you for that. I hate moving. I think it's the worst.
Yeah.
Um, do you? So that would probably sum up like some of your worst days. Like from not
Yeah.
not to sound uh, like the 100 days is an easy thing or anything like that, but I feel like you've said that like it's that last run was pretty easy to you. Um,
Mm. No,
do,
yeah. I mean, not easy, but it was easier than the other two. With like, I had all sorts of things happening. I was ill. I moved. Like life was not letting me do this. So in that sense, yes, it was easier.
oh, that's good. Um, plus, uh, you're like way more organized than I am. Um,
Is that the
you know,
impression I
I'm
give?
100%.
No, yeah, I
Um,
am pretty organized.
I'm a big mess. I'm kind of surprised that I actually got some work done eventually. But yeah, I think is that like something that you've uh, do you feel like being organized is really beneficial to your everyday work, um, especially when it comes to the 100-day challenge? Uh,
Absolutely, yes.
did you have like a schedule? Like you were like, oh, 9 to 9:30 every
Yes, I
day.
do.
This
I don't
is
know
this
if
is
my Yes, I do have a schedule, and this is something that I'm not naturally like this. I'm not the kind of person that is like neat and tidy. I'm a mess. I, I am the kind of I was the kind of child that would go to school without her school bag because I forgot I had school while I was walking to school. So I'm really absent-minded, very very disorganized. I think I used to have those braces that you remove.
oh yeah, like a
Like
retainer. Yeah.
yeah, I had a retainer as a child, and they're really expensive, right? And I think I lost it 5 times, and it was in my mouth. And so, like this is not me naturally, but it's something I have to do. So I do these weekly schedules where I put everything and I color code it, and then Sunday is white, so I can do whatever I want and be myself. But I think that as a highly disorganized, messy, absent-minded person, you have to do these sort of things because otherwise I don't know. I don't know what would be what would happen without it, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be as effective. Or so yeah, I have to do that. So it's a necessity. It's not a personality trait.
See, maybe that's something that I should start following your lead on because um, I'm not very organized. I don't really like the time that I can get into draw. Like it's almost like, oh, here I got an extra 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. Like let's do it now. I never like plan it ahead, but I think that would be really beneficial to me. It's just me like I don't know. It's a struggle for me to like change a habit. You know.
No,
Um,
yeah, it's difficult. I started like little by little, and I think probably with kids it would be easier because like kids are very regimented and they have their schedule, so you can work around their schedule, your stuff. So maybe that's a way to start.
yeah, uh, that used to be pretty good. That's when usually used to get extra sleep in. But now my kids don't take naps during the day, and they're just like, go, go, go all the time. So, um, but yeah, I don't know. Um, do you remember like specifically like your worst day on this last run and what you did to actually get through that day?
My worst day on this last run. Um. Oh yeah. Well, it was a day where when Windows is updating. I don't know if you're a Windows user.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think Windows was updating that day, maybe 2 hours. I think it was. So I had everything scheduled, and this is the problem with schedules sometimes that you have it there, but life has other plans. And so I sat down and was like, okay, I have 2 hours to do my 100 days of making comics. This is great. Gonna make myself a cup of tea, blah blah blah. And I get to my computer and it's like Windows is updating. I was like, okay, fine. I finished my tea, and then 2 hours later it was still updating, and my inability to react and adapt was appalling. And I ended up doing my 100 days on the on the train on my way to work. So I
Nice.
was just sitting there like a weirdo, like rush hour on the train. It was pathetic, but I did it.
That's good. No, I turned off automatic updates on my PC because I like I don't use it a ton, but when I sit down, like I want to get some work done, and I'm afraid to go in right now and check the updates. I'm sure it's going to take like days, but
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's working.
Yeah, I
Do
need to
slow,
learn
do
how
it.
to do that.
Yeah. Um, I feel like I'm that way with everything. Like, oh, just let it do its thing until it breaks, until it stops working. But
Yeah.
um, but you've also got another project going on right now, and I'm not gonna like uh I'm not gonna like ruin it or like tell anybody about it really, but I think it's really interesting that you're writing a new project as well right now.
Yeah.
How's that process going for you? Like while you're working on Graduation Nightmare, and you also have this other project on the back end that you're writing.
Yeah.
Um, how's it been?
Well, basically, I'm trying to find my writing style because I think in my ideal world, I would write my own comics because I don't know, I just want to do it. But I'm not a very experimented writer. Graduation Nightmares, I'm writing myself, but I'm discovery writing it basically. I think some other people call it being a pantser because you're like flying by the seat of your pants.
Right.
So it's like when I finish a scene, I write the next scene. And I have a rough idea of where I'm going and more or less where things are going, but I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to get there. So I wanted to make this experiment where I write the full script and I plot it and I do everything by the book and see which is my writing style and which works best. So what I do is like with Graduation Nightmares is not a lot of stress on the writing side because I just whatever comes up and I just write it. Whereas in the other one, I'm like, well, you've seen it, right? I write the script, I present it to a group of beta readers, they give me feedback, I consider the feedback, I make the changes, and it's like a completely different process. So for me, it's like I'm just learning, I'm just experimenting, I'm just seeing which writing style suits me best. And that's how I deal with it. It's just a complete different process. And so it feels, how they say a change is as good as a rest. Well, that's what it is. Even if I've been working on Graduation Nightmares for 2 hours, if I do another 2 hours of the other project, it doesn't feel like I've done 4 hours of work because I've made that change.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Um, I feel like well, I don't know how much you have planned for this other project, um, but I feel like you've gotten some pretty considerable work in on it. Do you plan on writing the whole thing out and then starting the comic book, or are you going to kind of like uh,
Uh,
start it before you finish writing it?
no, I'm gonna finish writing it. I'm gonna do everything the right way, as if I was like a proper writer that is handing the script to the artist. So I'm gonna finish writing it. I'm gonna design all the settings, all the characters. I'm gonna have everything ready, and then I'm gonna start. Rather than, oh, I need a character. His name is Brian, and he has a mustache, which is what I did with Graduation Nightmares.
Yeah. Um, I think that's really interesting. Do you feel like I- like um, because it's so drastically different than Graduation Nightmares, your whole process. Do you already feel like you're gravitating towards one process or the other, or is it just such a new experience that you're kind of enjoying yourself? Or
I think um, I'm gonna wait and judge until when I'm finished. But at the moment, I'm just doing it, and then I'll analyze it when I'm finished because I tend to overthink things, and if I start analyzing something while I'm doing it, I will never finish it. So I'm trying to not analyze it, not think about it. And yes, it is radically different as well. It's a different genre. Is for a different age group. It's a different art style that I'm going for. So it's entirely different. I'm just like took these two projects that I really like, and I'm just experimenting to see what fits me better, what is best for me, and what do I enjoy more.
That's really cool. Uh, I think of my comic book as just a big experiment. Um, but you're like doing two experiments at the same time. That's really cool.
I'm a mad scientist. I mean,
No,
you have two kids. I mean, how many experiments can you realistically do?
not realistically, probably zero. Probably zero.
Well,
But
you're doing better than than you should be doing.
um, but no, I'm excited just to see like any work that you put out. Um, I don't know. I really like your art style. I think it's really fresh and like expressive. Um, because not only do you draw comic books and stuff like that, like you go and actually draw figure drawing. It sounds like once a week or something like that.
Yes, I'm going this afternoon. So
Oh,
it's in my schedule.
cool.
Visit
How
grandma, go to figure drawing.
nice. Or just take grandma with you. It's all good.
Grandma, come along.
No,
Make it, people. You're gonna love it.
she. I don't know your grandma, but my grandma, she'd be down. No, uh, do you do any other studying other than the figure drawing that you take part in every week, or?
Well, I wish not every week, but I do other study. I have books over there that I read every so often if I feel like I can incorporate something. And I'm also on Schoolism, which is this. I don't know if you know it, but it's like an online school. Uh,
Oh,
and basically, you pay a flat fee. It's like a subscription thing, like Netflix. So you pay money, and you have all the courses with all the video lessons and all the assignments, and you just learn. And I've done two courses there. I've done figure drawing because I didn't know how to do it, so I had to learn before I signed up to the actual figure drawing lessons. And then I did one on character design, and now I'm
that's
doing one on digital painting because I want to paint my next comic.
cool, cool.
And no, I do not do it every week. So maybe once a month I sit down for a few hours and I do one lesson.
But even once a month, I'm really impressed. I I I still love it, but I used to love figure drawing a lot. How beneficial do you feel like it's been for your artwork?
Massively beneficial, yes. I think you don't really understand human anatomy and the human form until you see it live in front of you moving. Because it's not the same when you draw from a picture because the picture won't move and it's flat. Whereas a person, even if they're really good, most of them are like dancers or actors. So even if they're really good at holding the pose, they're bound to move a little bit, and their muscles are bound to tense and relax, and you see the changes. So you cannot just look at it and copy it exactly. You have to understand it more.
Definitely. Um, and even uh, uh, for people like you and me who are cartoonists, I feel like a lot of artists don't understand like the benefits of figure drawing. Um, but I feel like I it was a huge benefit to learn anatomy, just so I can distort those shapes in my cartooning if I want to.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a rhyme or reason behind distorting those shapes instead of just kind of like going crazy.
Mm.
Um, but I loved figure drawing, and your figure drawings, like those 2 minute sketches that you do, they're great. They're
They're
great.
really fun to make. I love the 2 minutes and 5 minute ones. And then you have the painters next to you loving the 45-minute poses. And you're like, oh man, this is boring. Come on. They're just
Yeah.
like shaking their watercolors or whatever they do. And you're just sitting there thinking, what do I do for the next half an hour?
How large is the classes that you usually go to? Like how many students are there attending?
Well, it's like a culture center. I don't know what to call it. And basically, you sign up for the whole year. and you can go any day except Sundays, and it's from 5 o'clock till 10 o'clock. So you have 5 hours, and you can come in, come out, whatever. So the number of students, I'm not sure how many, but on the day where there are more students, maybe there's like 40 people, and there are three different rooms with three different models. And
Oh, cool.
so you're
Jeez,
like, oh, this one's full, close the door, go to the other one.
that's impressive. They have like a weekly thing I know here at the university. I've only gone there once, but yeah, they had two rooms, and that always blew my mind. Like, how do I decide which room to go to? I guess you just go to the one that's less like busy.
Yeah, that's
That
basically it. Or the one with the shorter poses, because they have a timings on the thing. It's like, now it's 2 minutes, now it's 5 minutes. This one is 45 minutes, and it's like, okay, 2 minutes, go.
yeah. Um, I don't know. I do like longer poses too. Um, so I just like everything
Yeah.
figure drawing. I don't know. Um, it's weird. It's something like, how were you introduced to like actually the idea of doing figure drawing?
I think it was a YouTube video. I think I can't remember exactly, but like a lot of people mention it. If you listen to podcasts or you listen to YouTube videos, a lot of people that have been to art school, because I haven't been to art school and I have no idea about any of this, but they mentioned, oh yeah, I remember the figure drawing lessons, and I was like, figure drawing, Google it, what is it? Oh, okay. And then I found out, and because, well, I live in a city that is big, yeah. So there were several options, and I found this place, and it's like a subscription thing. You pay a flat fee every month. So I like that sort of stuff.
Yeah, that's way cool. But geez, I'm jealous that you're gonna go later on today. I'm like, oh
It,
man, I should
it's
do something
super
like that
hot.
sometime soon.
So,
Oh yeah.
oh yes, it's in the attic of the building, and it's like really hot right now here. So we're gonna be sweating.
Those poor models. And
Yeah. Well, at least they're naked. We have to wear clothes.
true that, but like they have to hold a pose. I
That is true. Yes.
so I haven't done any nude like modeling, but like when a model doesn't show up for a class, like I've sat down and like just modeled before, and just a sitting pose, like I was dying, you
No,
know?
yeah, yeah. They're super good at it. I mean, most of them are professionally doing this, or they're actors or dancers. And I love it because these people are so expressive with their bodies, which I'm not, because I have not a single ounce of acting talent in me. And so I'm really impressed by people that can express feeling and thoughts and ideas with their body. I'm like, look at this pose. I know exactly what this person means with this pose. I could never do
100,
that.
oh, 100%. Like you're just getting me excited. I'm gonna have to go do it now. But I remember one of my favorite models was this old gentleman, probably 65 at least or something like that. But he was cut, like he was fit, and real shorter than me. Like I'm pretty short, but he's shorter than me. But the second he got up on the stand, he just became like a god. Like he had these like just like crazy poses that just like exude strength. Like you could feel this energy coming off of him. And then
Yeah.
we'd go to break and he'd put on his robe and he'd walk around like all shy, looking at our drawings and like, oh, that one's pretty good. That one's pretty good. And be all quiet. And then all breaks over and he'd go back to it. I'm like, oh man, this guy's just like crazy.
Yeah. It's amazing. I really do admire the work they do. I, and like, I want to find out if I'm always like, oh, do you have any gigs around this area that I can go see you? Because most of them are actors or dancers, and they have theater plays and stuff. So I'm like, oh, if you have any. It's weird because you've seen them naked, but then you're curious because you've seen them acting and posing. So
Yeah. I don't know. It's really weird. Like if anybody watching has never been in that sort of situation, like at least for me, it's a different situation than you think it would be.
yes,
It's
absolutely.
very respectful, um, at least in my experience. Uh, I can't say that I've seen any of the models on the street again. Actually, like, um, I hired a couple models to come over to my house. We'd have a party, and like I'd get as many of my artist friends to come over and like pitch in for the fee or whatever. So that was
Oh.
always fun. But that's the only other time like I saw models like outside of school. I think it would be kind of weird, I guess. Um,
Yeah, it's slightly weird, but it's weird because of our relationship with nudity. Because at the end of the day, it's not in any way erotic or sexual
no.
or anything. No, it's like in fact, through doing life figure drawing, my conception of the human body has completely changed. Because it used to be like, you think of bodies like differently. And so
Oh yeah.
now when I have a new appreciation of the human body. So even when, because you get such a variety of people, you get older people, you get fatter people, you get thinner people, you get more muscular people, you get a whole range of people. And I had this notion that attractive people are younger people that are fit. And then, you start drawing this old lady and you're like, you know what? Those shapes are really beautiful. Or you start drawing this overweight person and you're like, this is really interesting, the way everything, and you see that everything is beautiful about the human body. And I have this renewed appreciation of it. And I was really surprised by that because I had a very narrow uh, idea of what is beautiful about the human body.
Jeez, that's such a good way of putting it. Like it's the weirdest thing. Like I think the closest thing that I've had to a spiritual experience is in figure drawing class, and that's such a weird thing to say, but it did happen to me, you know. And
Really?
yeah, 100%. Because like at least on longer poses, like it's more meditative when you're drawing, especially if you have headphones and you're really getting into the zone. Um, and it's something like I've I've always hesitated to tell people, you know, because I'm 100% like even artists, even some artists who you talk to don't really understand. So if you're just trying to talk to a, you know, just your friends, your buddies that don't aren't in that realm, like they don't understand at all. Like, but yeah, for me, I don't know. Like you said, it's just it's a crazy experience.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty intense. I mean, I have to get into the longer stuff, like you say, because I've heard really good things about it. But I think I haven't developed the patience, probably because I haven't been to art school and I haven't been made to sit through a task that I don't like in art ever. So I need to develop a little bit of that. I don't know what to call it, patience, resilience, whatever it is that people develop when they're forced to do an assignment that they hate.
well, I mean, there's some things that you could do. Uh, it looks like you worked pretty small. Like you could
Yes.
work really big. Like if you have to go do like a 20-30 minute pose, like working really big and standing up, like it's pretty fun too. It's really fun.
Yeah, like making the
Um,
big movements. I can see people moving their whole arm, and I'm like, do do do.
like especially
No.
when you're getting into gestures, you know, like even like I love working big even with those 5 minute poses, those 2 or 5 minute gestures, you know, because you just got to
Mm.
work fast and like there's a lot of energy involved.
Yeah, yeah, I need to
Um,
get there. Yeah, absolutely. Because you know what happens as well is that I have this mentality still to this day that I'm not worth the paper I'm drawing. So I have to
well,
get small papers and fill the page and use every corner and every nook and cranny has to be filled because the paper is valuable and my art is not worth, you know, wasting paper.
oh, your art's 100% worth it. But there's another tip too. I only drew on newsprint for like over a year of
That's
figure drawing.
interesting. So
So
what
just
do you get the
big
newspaper?
newsprint. What's that?
You got the newspaper and you drew on it.
No, no, no. Like sketch, you can get sketchbooks that are just newsprint, like blank newsprint,
Ah,
like
right. I
really,
thought you were
really.
drawing on the newspaper. I thought that's insane. That's super arty.
No, no. You can just get huge pads of newsprint, and they're super cheap. So the problem with that was like I was never afraid to like just draw, right?
Mm.
because it wasn't a precious thing. But then I would get a drawing that I was like, man, I kind of like that drawing. I wish it wasn't on newsprint because it's probably just gonna like crumble in 2 years or something like that. But
Cool. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting because I think a lot of what figure drawing does, and drawing a lot on your comic does, is it takes away the preciousness. So you just see drawing as an activity or as an action that you do rather than something that needs to be on a frame or on the fridge or something like that. And the other thing is that the more you draw, figure drawing, comics, whatever, the looser you become and the less afraid. Because there is an element of fear that makes drawings look ugly. So the same confidence that you see those people portraying when they go into pose is you have to have it when you're moving your hand around the page. I don't know how to explain it,
no,
but
no, that's 100%. And with your like, uh, um, with your gestures, like there is a lot of energy. You can see a lot of energy um, through just your drawings. So I feel like you're in the right place.
yeah. Yeah, confidence is so important when drawing. I can't. It's hard to explain to people that don't draw, haven't reached that point yet. But when you draw, even if you draw badly, but you draw with that confidence, it just looks better. It just feels better to look at. The fear translates into the lines, and you can see it, and it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. It like tightens up your
Yes.
lines. Like I like even I'll just get drawings that look weird, right? Like I
Yeah.
can't really pinpoint it, but it just looks not right. But yeah, I totally
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah. It works the same as in acting or writing or whatever. If you're being honest and you're being confident and you're being free, it shows, and it's just more satisfying to people watching or seeing your drawings.
Yeah, I agree. Man, well, I better let you go so you can go visit your grandma.
Yes, grandma is
Uh,
waiting.
that's awesome that you're gonna go visit her. How old is she?
96.
Awesome, awesome.
Yes, she's really old, bless her. But she's still there. She's like very frail, very little, very petite woman, but she's lovely. So
That's
I'm gonna go see her, have a coffee with her.
oh, geez, that sounds enjoyable. Um, I do like to ask everybody, like, if you had to take a shot at it, what would you say is the true meaning of the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge?
Wow. If I'd known you were gonna ask that, I would have thought about it. It's
Oh,
like
oh, I'll give you just a second to think about it while I say, uh, when I was messaging you about like, hey, do you want to do a like stream a hangout? And you're like, yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. And then you said, hey, let me know if I need to prepare anything.
I did say, didn't I?
And
It's a trap.
so I would never have you prepare anything for a show like this, right? Um, but it got me thinking, like, I could have asked her to prepare some awesome key point. You know, she'd probably come and like teach me all about something. You know, but I wouldn't
Not
do
really
that.
these, but I would have made some notes and stuff.
Oh
Okay, the
yeah,
true meaning of the 100 days of making comics. I think okay, here it goes. And I'm gonna hate this answer in like 5 minutes because it's
okay,
the first
okay.
thing that came to my mind. But here we go. I think the true meaning is that in our daily lives, we just life is never gonna allow you to do what you want to do with your art. You're either going to get paid to do something you're not interested in, or you're going to have to do something else for your day job. But life is never going to stop to let you make your comics and get your stories out there. So you have to, you know, crank some time in there to actually do it and be intentional about it. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. And I think that's the meaning of it.
You're not gonna dislike that in 5 minutes. That was a good one. That was a good
I'm
one.
going to come up with something better, I'm sure. I believe in the process.
No, that was really good. Um,
Thanks.
but yeah, uh, thanks for talking with me. I really appreciate you. I'll have to get you back on. You know, when you start this new process in this next comic book, or when you finish up Graduation Nightmares or something like that.
Yeah, like in 10 years or something. We'll see. We'll see.
No, I'm sure it'll be a lot quicker than that. A lot quicker than that.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me then. It's been really nice talking to you.
Yeah, for sure. Halfway around the world is crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
technology, right?
technology. Like before you and Jan, I don't, dude, I don't, I know where Spain is, but I don't know where Barcelona is. I just have to like maybe there, maybe.
Yeah, I
I
don't know
don't
where
know,
anything is. I can relate with that.
but we're here talking, which is cool.
Yeah, very cool, very cool.
But yeah, I hope you have a good weekend. Do you think you'll take the 100-day challenge again, a fourth time?
We'll see. We'll see. I'm open to the possibility, but right now I'm good without
Yeah,
it. But maybe it'll come a time where I need it again.
yeah, I agree. I agree. There's man, I could probably use it right now. But yeah, um, yeah. I hope you have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you again on the Discord, especially.
Yeah, see you in the Discord. Have a good
Yeah.
weekend.
Hey, thank you, thank you.
Bye bye.
See ya.